Hello YouTube, this is Sibbles and Bits back at it again with another Arcanium run. Before I get into it today, I'm going to go ahead and drop my question for the comments right away. And I'm going to preface it with a little bit of an anecdote here. So, yesterday, my brother-in-law made our house some baked mac and cheese, and I found out that my sister was absolutely adamant that we were not going to have baked mac and cheese unless it was made with cavatappi. So my question for you guys is, what pasta do you guys use for your mac and cheese? Whenever I make my teriyaki mac and cheese, I personally like to look for gemelli or fusilli or rotini. They're sort of the same shape. I'll use cavatappi as like a third string because for whatever reason in the area where I live in, nobody uses it, so it's always available. Basically looking for that surface area. You want those ridges so that your cheese sauce has something to stick to. Anyways, stop talking about pasta, I suppose, and go right into another run here. Random a team. Okay. So, we have Leon. He's pretty durable. So basically, if you saw our last run, you may have saw that our tank was Shinzo, who was able to taunt enemies to him, and he was very good against multi-strike enemies because he gained resilience every time he used a card, which would negate lots of little hits. Leon's the exact opposite. He still has the taunt, and in fact, he also has power in a lot of his keywords, so he's actually able to do damage directly as well. Lots of area attacks as well. But Leon, what he'll do is he also has access to a lot of immune. What immune does is it's like buffer charges in Slay the Spire on defect. It'll allow you to take one instance of damage, no matter what it is, and negate it. So whereas Shinzo's very powerful against multi-striking enemies, Leon's very good against the enemies that end up ulting you for like 48 damage. And he'll just go ahead and he'll soak those. Also very good against bosses for that same reason, because generally speaking, they'll just hit you for on one turn for like 30 damage, 35, 20 in lifesteal, and he'll just go ahead and he'll put an end to that. So having him on team is going to be pretty good. What I am noticing though is that all of our heroes have blue damage, so that's going to be a bit spiced. My lady we talked about last time, we pretty much know how she interacts with the game. Might try and do something different with her this time instead of going for another infinite. Mozabis is one of the most recent characters added, so I wasn't able to get the hang of him before coming back to the game. Very interesting because he has this concept called overloaded AP. So he is the only character that can save AP for future turns, and he banks it up. All characters can use their remaining AP, then each turn they'll get their standard HP and it'll stack up, but it can only go up to 5. On Mozabis, he doesn't do that scaling up to 5, because if you leave 1 AP, he's going to go ahead and send that AP into overload, which early game doesn't really do too much, especially due to the fact that you use overloaded AP before your regular AP, and what that actually does is it prevents you from gaining Fury, because Fury only occurs whenever you use your actual AP. But he's got an heirloom that overrides that. And late game, when you get to the point where he's got lots of AP in general, he's able to stack more action points than everybody else, which allows him to either do nigh infinites on his own, or it'll allow him to spend all of it for powerful attacks. A lot of his cards, first off, give him free locked overload, which is basically overload that you can't use this turn. But you can see here on Arcane Barrier, if I can bring this up, there we go. Gain 2 resilience and 1 extra resilience per overload consumed. So if you're using this 2 cost only on your banked overload, you're actually going to end up getting 4 resilience, or 5 if it's upgraded. Got his legendary here, multi-strike 2, deal 6 damage, add an extra hit per overload consumed. So if you're able to save up 5 overload, you could hit for a potentially 7 times 9 is 63 on a multi-strike. So obviously like that has other implications as well. So he's all about huge payoff attacks, and it makes him very slow because you can't do it every turn, right? Unless you have a specific setup, like, let's see if I can even find it. Like Recollect helps, that gives you locked overload. So you just put a couple of these in your deck, and you're setting up the next turn for free, despite the fact that you might be using AP this turn. He's got an ulti available that just gives him 3 overload that he can spend now. An Archive will shuffle 0 costs into your deck, which will draw a card, which makes him essentially free, and then he gains 1 locked overload for the next turn. So you're able to set yourself up for, again, nigh infinites, huge payoff engines. Another huge card that he has is, if I can find, Orb of Annihilation. It's going to consume all of your overload and deal 9 damage per overload consumed. So if for whatever reason you have 45 overload, you're going to deal a truck ton of damage and possibly one-shot a boss. But in order to gain that overload, you're probably not doing much in the meantime. So again, it's about having on and off turns, and it's a little weird for me to wrap my head around. I have a lot of difficulties with Moze-Lady. I think I've failed every single run that I've ran him with. But we're going to see if we can't do anything about that today. I don't think I want Arcane Tempest. Like, as much as I like the idea of Arcane Anomaly is a prospective pick because you're assuming that you're going to run into cards that give you specifically locked overload. And then you're going to pop this and then double the amount and then have a huge payoff turn next turn. That's very hard for me to choose because Arcane Tempest does what it needs to do, even if I don't have any other cards. Same with Evocation. If I can just spend 6, which is actually relatively easy, I get another 3 overload, which is basically 3 free AP. Or I can even not use it, and then next turn I have more overload to use. Go ahead with this one. Alright. So where do we want to send this team? Good question. One idea is that we can send us to Azir, because with the starting gold is just about anything in this game so long as you find the correct shop. This can be a heal, this can be upgrades, this can be more cards, this can be an artifact potentially. So this is probably the more the most safe route that we can pick. And then on top of that, we only have red resistant enemies and then gold resistant enemies or yellow resistant enemies, which I suppose is our 2 damage dealers, and then purple. But I definitely don't feel like we want to go to Scorchlands because, again, as I discussed last video, Milady is very weak here because of the blue resistance and the red resistance. Leon, who is our other, like, off damage dealer, is blue, and then Mozibus is also purple. So this area is, like, absolutely terrible for us. So we either go for the more max health, or we go for... Go ahead and go to Ozir. I don't even have a plan like I did last time. We're just going to see what happens. They really wanted us to go to Scorchlands, though. That's slightly better. 20 tiles in Ozir, pick an heirloom. We're probably going to be able to do that. We're probably not going to be able to also do this, though, so... That's possible, but we're going to have to swing it. Alright, our start is also much better. I honestly... Get a card first. So, Shock, keyword we haven't really talked about before. What Shock does is it puts a debuff on the enemy that doesn't really do anything, except when you attack them, they're also going to deal as much damage as they have Shock to adjacent targets. So this is essentially turning your attacks and multi-strike attacks especially into AoE damage, which is incredibly powerful. Problem is that we're getting Shock, which is yellow damage, in Ozir, so it's going to do like half the normal damage, but we still may end up taking this. Holy Light might be interesting as well. Otherwise, Volt Strike is just good damage. They're all interesting. So I'm looking at Ice Barrier here. It's good team defense. One thing about Mozibus is that he starts his defending cards is a 2-cost 5 shield, and it gives you 1 locked overload, which is okay because of the fact that it gives you 1 locked overload. It's basically paying now for defense now, and then you'll get that refund back on another turn. Otherwise, it's not... Like, it's a decent block card, but... Take a look at Ice Barrier. It's 4 shield, and so long as anybody else uses a blue card for the combo, we gain 4 shield in an area instead and hit everybody. So for 1 less cost and 1 less shield, we can now shield in an AoE, and when he starts with only 3 AP, like when is... Realistically, he's going to spend more turns blocking with Runic Shell than he is going to be dealing damage. So I think that this is actually a very good pick for him. And it's only 94 gold, so we'll go ahead and we'll take that. Then I'm debating taking Void Tear as well. Alright, wait on that. So, critical damage is very important because it gives you double damage. So even against a resistant enemy, you're still dealing decent damage. I believe that this even upgrades... Yeah, it upgrades to 12, which is very big. The problem is, you have to have 2 overload when this hits your hand. Otherwise, you draw this turn 1, it's a decent card. Basically slightly better than Magic Volley, which is a multi-strike 2. It's on par with Arcane Missile, except that it's purple damage instead of blue. Actually think we take that. What we're gonna do, we're gonna take out one of those. Take out one of those. We're gonna hit this light shrine. Ooh. Okay. They're all very good. So, minions in this game, I don't know if I exactly explained it, but they're somewhat complicated due to the fact that when you start thinking about it, they are block for future turns even, because if they're not attacked or killed on the first turn, then you get them on a turn when you actually need them. And they're also attack, because they'll attack at the end of your turn, in this case for 3. So usually that's where their value is. Like 3 damage for free at the start of the game is no joke. But most importantly, it's also 3 shield. So if we get a very rough starting hand, everyone's going to take 3 less damage on that turn. And if the enemies don't attack us, we're actually going to get 6 out of this, because then they're going to attack the next turn. Don't even need any cards that interact with minions in order to make this pick very good. Which I think the only person who interacts with minions as of right now is Ragnarok. But there's also a ton of you can also invest in the minions. There is a minion vendor where you can buy more minions, and weird thing about minions is they're not color restricted. So even if I don't have a green hero on my team, they can still use green minions. Cleanse all heroes every 2 turns. Obviously, this is a lot of defense, because some enemies like to just stack tons of DOTs on you, and you'll have to deal with those the first turn, maybe 2 turns, but then they won't be able to really stack up against you. This alone pretty much shuts off one of the area bosses. I believe the boss was Scorched Lands, because he has 2 gargoyles that just keep return. Both of them will stack 2 hex on you. And so you're usually in a race to just kill them as fast as possible, because there's no way that you're going to be able to survive that unless you have cleanse on team. And so this will by itself pretty much solves that problem. Raw protection, I mean, it's a card that's in our deck that's going to slow it down, but it's a card in our deck that gives everybody 8 shield. My only problem with this is that it doesn't have retain, so it's not shield when you need it. So you could easily run a whole battle where this is in your hand and you don't even use it. Otherwise, it's still very good. 8 shield for free. That's better than most people's 2 costs. We're actually going to do something a little wonky. We're going to go with Unity. Okay, we do have to start trying to level, though. Like cleanse all heroes and enemies at the start of each turn. I don't think we do any debuffs, so this is fine. Another shrine. Okay. It's gonna be pretty good. I forgot to take a look at the enemies for you guys, but Molten Scorpion, pretty much exact same as the Aberrations. He's gonna put thorns on himself, and I think he also deals burn to us. Scaros Tamer, I believe they have a blind. I might be wrong on that, but otherwise right now they're just multi-striking us for not a lot of damage because we've got those blockers. Fortunately, the minions do have color damage, so this is yellow. So they're going to attack these guys, and probably, as you can see, they're only doing 1. Now, I could easily use this for the one locked overload, but the thing about that is that I'm not being attacked currently, and these two AP are going to turn into 2 overload. So this is actually very inefficient if you're trying to actually get that overload for the next turn. Oh, baby. Okay, so they're going to ult for 6. Hold up. Here's the vulnerable. That was a bit excessive. Didn't actually... okay. That's a shame. No, we're fine. I miscalculated for a second there. Like I thought I did this. Order. They're all really good. Currently looking at Wilt. It looks pretty bad. Especially because when you upgrade it. Supply 5 weak, which, as we discussed in the last video, decreases the damage that the enemy deals. But then you lose 5 health. You might be thinking, okay, so if somebody's going to hit me for 10, you'll reduce it to 5, and then you'll take 5, so it ends up being exactly the same. Especially in a team that has so much block like this, why would you do that? When you start factoring in multi-hit attacks and AoE attacks, 5 weak is going to cost Mazabis 5 health, but he's saving the other 2 heroes 5 damage. Which, when they have an off turn, could be pretty good. Otherwise, Resilience is kind of like in the same ballpark as this, right? Reducing damage. In fact, this is actually more along the lines of his Runic Shell, which gives 5 shields and 1 locked overload. This gives 2 resilience and 1 locked overload. And upgrades to 3. So, it's theoretically worse than his Runic Shield, except against multi-attacks. I don't think that there's any artifacts that go off of resilience. That's primarily Shinzo right now. Otherwise, giving him another source of damage is alright, I guess. But even if I don't use this, I would still like to be able to have it for when I do need it. I'm gonna end up taking this. Blocked, and it's a Void Shrine too. That could be big. Okay. Sand Elementals, Multi-Strike, Damage, Shield in an area. The shield in an area actually isn't that bad. Multi-Strike, Damage dispel. Okay, so that's what he's doing. Did I think that these guys blinded? That must have been somebody else. But here's that 5 damage in an area that we can mitigate against. I also think that those are their base stats, so they actually do significantly more here. Yeah, because he's not hitting for 3 times 2. He's actually up a bit. If we hold control, oh, right click. Getting 25% damage. Bring himself up to there. Another turn with only damage, huh? I want this guy to ult next turn. Willing to take the damage for that. Fine. So you might be thinking, Bits, you said you're coming into this run without a game plan. Isn't that dangerous? Especially in a game with so much player agency, like you said. Potentially. Obviously, not being able to set myself up for the best line of success by going to the correct zone so that I can get the artifact that I want for maybe my wombo combo, and then I at least have a goal in mind. But the thing is that roguelikes aren't always going to let you drive your car where you want to go. So sometimes your best runs happen when you just go out on a joyride and see where the road takes you. And it's also very important, even if you're headed towards a destination, to make sure to see the road for what it is and realize that that's not going to work and you have to make a detour. And roguelike games, I don't know if people use this term in general, but I do. It's the concept of the pivot, right? You have a goal in mind, but in order to succeed, you have to no longer... I don't want to kill this thing because we want to hit the elusive for more money. In order to succeed, you're actually going to have to sacrifice the idea of what you originally planned, because what you originally planned isn't coming through. In Monster Train, there's a ability called multi-strike, which, especially if you're coming here playing this game, you already know what multi-strike does. It enables you to attack twice for the same amount of damage. Makes sense? However, obviously, that's a lot of damage, especially in Monster Train. So a lot of people will go out of their way to try and get multi-strike, and any chance that they get, they'll just start careening towards multi-strike. It won't show up in the shop, and they just keep going, and they're basically just digging their own grave because they had tons of options to make their deck stronger along the way, but they were just too blinded, or sorry, blind. They were too blind trying to look for multi-strike. They could have had a very good run had they gotten multi-strike, but by taking none of the other options to improve their deck, they didn't have a deck, and so they just died, when they could have at least had a run that was good enough to win the run. So while it's nice to pop off and get what you're looking for, it can also be a detriment as well. And it's important to be able to realize when you've got to make that turn. Now, another reason that makes Leon very good against high damage enemies, he has access to blind. Blind just makes the enemy miss. So again, just like immune, an enemy's trying to hit you for 50 damage, doesn't matter. It misses. And I think the only way you can get blind in the game is through yellow color and Leon right now. Cleave, 4 damage in an area, is basically a better version of Leon's Crusader Strike. It's even the same color, right? However, Crusader Strike upgrades to 5 damage, but is still melee, so it can only hit his lane. Cleave starts at 4, upgrades to 6, becomes ranged. I think... Obviously, I haven't played with all the cards. I just recently unlocked them all. I think this is one of the only cards that does this, upgrades into ranged. And so, it enables, say, Milady to hit the center from the right lane and then hit all lanes. Which, since she also has access to gaining might whenever she plays a red card, this can be a huge payoff card for her. And I think we take this. The only other reason we wouldn't take it is for this. 8 damage in an area. Game 1 locked. Overload. Again, as I described with Runic Shell, this is pretty much paying now to gain AP later. Otherwise, if you were to reduce it by 1 cost to get rid of the locked overload, this would be 2 for 8 as opposed to 1 for 4. It's primarily the same. This also starts range, which makes it pretty good. But as I also mentioned before, you have to use actual AP in order for Moze-Lady to gain to charge his ultimate. But we've been giving Moze-Lady a lot of damage. Have to stop doing that at some point. We'll give Milady this. Whew. Always go for a money run. Get a ton of cash and buy whatever we need. Hex is... It's a damage over time. It's just purple damage over time, honestly. So it'll do the amount of damage as it has stacks, and then it'll decay. Obviously, if you saw our last run, you also have artifacts that interact with the DOTs, primarily giving hex when you hit people, giving hex when they hit you, but also always critting against hexed enemies. Now, that's over in Scorched Lands, and I don't think we're headed over there because, again, they're like super resistant to us. So, if we were to take this, it wouldn't be for that. It would be because they're mostly unresisted. There's very few purple enemies in this area. And this is essentially 10 damage because it's going to do 4, 3, 2, and 1 damage. Unless, of course, it gets cleansed, which there is a ton of enemies that do cleanse here. But worst case scenario, it's like 4 damage or 7 damage. If we stack them all onto one enemy that doesn't have cleanse, that's a lot of damage. And this could honestly solve our problems with single target if we felt that we had them in order to do an elite battle. Or a shard battle, for that matter. Void card's dealing 25% extra damage. Obviously, this only hits Moze-Lady. His ulti is not... well, his ulti is purple, but it doesn't deal any damage. So it's primarily helping us with Void Tear by bringing it up to 10 damage, and then it's going to crit if we have that 2 overload. Otherwise, it hits our magic volley, but I think it would bring it up to 3. So it would make it do 3 more damage, which is equivalent to an upgrade. I don't think that we take Void Power. We either take money or we take damage. I think we'll take Hexing. This up. Oof. Now that's interesting. Now, you can only have 3 of one card in a deck, so we can't really duplicate our starter cards. Or it'll let us, but we shouldn't. Which leaves these. I don't think we want a second Wilt. That's a little ridiculous in my opinion. A second Void Tear would obviously be more damage. Second Vault Strike would be a lot of damage. If we took out the Vault Strike, one thing about this, right, is it doubles if we use Lunge or any other dash. Otherwise, even if we don't, it's literally Flesh Strike. Like, it even upgrades the same. Like, this is just a better Flesh Strike. And that equates to a lot of damage. Then, of course, it hits an extra time, so if we have any on-hit effects, we're going to get access to that. And then the other important thing to state is you might be saying, like this is double damage like crit, but it's not crit, so we can still crit with this in the future. I think that we do this. I was originally coming into here thinking that I was going to upgrade Cleave, or duplicate Cleave, but it's not upgraded. So it's admittedly less good than it could be, and I would have to specifically target Cleave twice, or hit the 2 upgrades on a Campfire or an Oracle and just hope that it hits Cleave twice. Obviously another Ice Barrier is also very good. But I think that we solve our damage by just taking Vault Strike. Yep. We're actually going to trim that down right now. We don't need these. Nope, because it didn't give us but it didn't give us either of our... I probably grabbed this and didn't put it in the deck. Oh man, I gotta stop doing that. The one reason to keep a Flesh Strike instead of a Flechet? Flechet? That's not correct. Instead of a Dual Strike is because if we ever get hit with weak, even 2 weak is enough to bring our damage down to 0, so then we're going to hit with 0 twice, whereas at least here we'd hit for 2. But I'm just going to hope that that never happens. We live in a fantasy world where everything goes our way. We do need some fights, though. I think maybe we take this Breach. We could take a normal Elite Assault, which is, your typical 3v3. We might be able to handle that. But I feel like we could take this Breach fight. Gain access to these cards. Possibly start working our way towards Anador. Because our quest will eventually want us to scout 10 tiles. Means that at around... due to the fact that we also have 20 tiles in Uzir, around threat 20, we're going to want to make sure that we can cross that border, which is right here. So setting ourselves up for that is nice. We could also go for this Breach battle, but that's not going to unlock this event that's locked because this is definitely a battle. In fact, that's one of the good things about having these hazards on the map at a certain difficulty. I know for a fact that this is a battle, and I know that this is a battle. And they're normal battles, too. They're not elite battles. So this is... I would rather not go here. I just hope that everything that we've taken going to allow us to actually... Should have seen the abilities that they got. And they're all white, yellow damage, or yellow resistance, which is kind of suffer. Guess we're going to get 2 hits out of this guy, I guess. Because Batman. That would be a little weird. But I think we do. We'll give 2 shield. 6 shield. Take 3 damage here. Whereas he can just block for himself. I think that's what we do. That's what we're going to do. We're going to go here. Suppose I actually should have done this, that I could block for Leon. But he's going to take 1 damage from my hubris. What? No, just 9 shield. Generally want to keep that middle guy because it's going to be easier for everybody to hit him. So I'll stack this on you. Ooh. Huh. Oh, that's right. Their ult is to shield. Okay, well, this is just free damage then. I guess we'll leave you guys. I'm gonna do 3 damage. Better to do this. Bring them back. Thank God this decided to turn into red. And next turn we're going to try and blow it up. Going to have his taunt, which does 12 in an AoE. Oh, he blocked for that actually. That was poor timing in retrospect. Does it not block? It doesn't block. For a second there, I thought I just did no damage. This game's pretty buggy. Gave me a heart attack. It's also going to taunt everybody, which probably isn't actually what we want. I don't think that we're going to end up actually killing this. Oh, hold up. Hold up. No, we got ridiculous damage. How we do this? Oof. Get 3 overload. We're going to crit. You back there. Pretty much just gonna gang up on this guy here. Ordering. Probably could have killed this man. Oh, actually we're fine. Now it's gonna take that 8 DOT and we win. So yeah, those hexes really helped. Ooh. That is really good. Oh, man. Oh, jeez. This is obviously also very good for Leon, right? He's got lots of light cards. His light cards currently taunt. And so he's just going to get a little bit of shield every time he does it. Also, ammo crates is good for characters who have lots of AP, but not a lot of draw, which could be Mozbus. Or anybody, really, especially since we have zero cost cards in the deck. But I think we go crazy with the minions. Doesn't matter who actually, it does matter who has this. So the first turn you're going to get 3 Fury. You have the taunt that does 12 AoE damage. You gain Overload. Sounds like it's not so good, but it's technically banking up AP. This might be the only way that you actually get Fury. This is just opening ourselves up for damage because we get the vulnerable, like turn 1. Turn 1. Huh. That's very interesting. Also a dash, so we can set up Vault Strikes. Problem is that these minions are going to die. I hope you realize that. This is literally only turn 1. Oh man. It's already upgraded. Has that draw. And it's, again, it's even if it doesn't use Overload for the draw, and even if we can't use the draw, right, we just have to be careful that we're not going to draw cards that we need for the next turn. But 13 damage for 2 is a very good deal. I keep telling myself that I need to stop taking damage cards on Mozbus, but you can't not take that. Okay, so we've got our route through. Overall, we've already discovered 2 shrines. Chances are there's not any more. Loot caches, though. Those items are going to help us turn some fights, especially with an upcoming shard battle. We need to know where those are. One down here. One over here. Which of these are actually likely? We have 6 threat to go. 5, technically. And we have to hit one of these shard battles. 1, 2, 3, 4. Definitely going through here. 1, 2, 3. We're feeling very good. Could honestly fight this shard battle and this shard battle. This is interesting. This is going to discover more of the map, though, because we don't know what these are. I think we take the Breach Battle. We know we can take them, especially if we're able to stack our Hex cards. We've got even more damage now. An event. Yep. Are you the guy who blinds? Yes, you're the guy who blinds. Dispel, shield, 5 damage in an area. And when we kill him, he's going to cleanse everything. Actually, that's not very good. So maybe we rush right side. Right side or middle? We don't rush him. Even though he's probably going to be the easy... Well, he's actually... You have 80 health? What the heck? Anyways, we're going to go after the Sand Elemental here. Oh, man. That's crazy. We can also get a Shrine. which, again, we've hit 2 shrines. We're probably not going to find another one, at least not in this area, that starts you out with Fury. How we're going to do this. Pop it. Probably should have mathed that out before I went all in. 4 here is actually 6. You're down to 14. You're going to take 3. You should actually take... Oh, wait, no. You're resistant. So you are taking 3. Slash is 4. Going down from 14, 10, 6. I bash you, but... Oh, wait. No, that's going to be 4. And then you're going to... We can't kill you. Okay. Look at that. I was going to say, we even have another minion, but he splashed us, so... No! Definitely taking more damage than I should here. Yeah, we still want to face this guy. This has access to our ulti. We'll then blow you up with. Eh. And again, that was huge ordering. I should have done this first. That actually would have been a difference of like 20 damage. Oh man. Rude that one up. Yeah, they'd be dead. I didn't take Leon's immune or blind, and so now someone's going to have to take 30 damage. Which was not smart of me. Kill this now. Actually put the vulnerable on this time. Makes a huge difference. Oh my good lord. I wonder if this counts for Vault Strike. Well, even if we die, we might as well figure that out. Worst case scenario, she pivots out of Vault Strike. We can give it to Mozabus for his magic missiles. We do need that blind. Let's not make that same mistake. If I want anybody to have more action points, it's going to be Moze-Lady. Got a lot of 2-cost cards. I don't think that this gold is worth, although this is a heal. No, that's not worth it. There's another item right there. That's pretty good. Shield. Don't deal burn, so Hellfire Spear isn't very good. 6 damage to a random enemy at the start of every turn is very good. We take that. Worst case scenario, we decide we don't want it. We just up tier it at an Oracle. So, Roll Resilience, very good versus multi-attacks. Foul Familiar, also very good versus multi-attacks. It's a minion. The reason this is good against multi-attacks is because it gives 2 weak whenever I play it. But for the most part, this is a minion, and that's where its value is coming from. Potion of Clarity. If we have a turn set up where Moze-Lady has too much overload, doesn't have draw yet, or draw engine, he only has 1 card that draws. So this could enable us to just give him a power turn by giving him 3 cards when he has too much AP to use. Which he's our primary damage dealer, so that's probably the best move over, unfortunately, taking Foul Familiar. Although, it could show up in the shop, look at that! We're taking that, I think. Shield is also very good. We're taking the Foul Familiar. I'm minion blind. We're doing it. Okay. In order for us to level up again, we'd have to take this Elite Assault, then find another Elite, then fight a Shard Battle. That's likely not going to happen. Let's just hope that this is good for us. I think we do that. We don't have access to the end. That was very stupid of me, actually. Oh, no. Alright. Well. Hopefully we don't rip, right? The idea was that we could now take this, level up, and then be stronger for the Shard Battle. But, unfortunately, in doing so, I may have doomed us. Tomb Crawler just is very tanky. We're going to want to use our... Oh, he's Void. So, any direct damage we're going to deal is going to be reduced by 40%. So he's very tanky versus our hits. If we had burns, poisons, or even shock, we'd be very susceptible to that. Then, of course, he gains cleanse anyways, because he's elite, so even stacking that wouldn't work. Thunder makes all shielding we deal to ourselves halved. Then 2 weak in an area. That, we really didn't want to see him. Here we go. Well, at least we hit him with the chakram. Okay. Nope, not yet. Not yet. Let's not make the same mistakes. Okay, that doesn't count as a multi-strike. Makes sense since it doesn't say multi-strike, but it's important to know how stuff actually works. We're actually going to be able to kill this thing. Question is that the right move? I think so. Alzabus here taking some damage, but that's fine because we got this. We're going to want to reduce this damage anyways. Him not shielding everybody is going to be huge. Be blind. Are you dealing 5? You're blind? That must be a tooltip thing. He should not be able to deal damage to us. In fact, I'm going to believe that so much. I'm willing to do this. That's very dangerous, by the way. Especially when you know a game is buggy, you probably shouldn't believe that it's going to work the way it says it's going to work. Exactly what we were talking about. There's that crit. There's more damage. Then we save 2 of that for next turn. Because we don't need to do this. Yeah, no damage. And we get the 3 Fury. Oh my goodness, if we keep these guys alive, can't be stopped. Still damage us? Does. That is scuffed. Down here. Yeah, that's not going to work. We're going to have to do this. Sorry, my lady. Oh. Urgh. That's painful. If he didn't have that that backlash, we would have just destroyed him. That's the game, right? Bye. Thanks. Know who I think we actually give this to? You? Actually, yeah, because if we didn't have Void Tear, right? Deal critical damage if it consumes 2 overload. In a normal circumstance, this is going to be the first card we use every turn because we shouldn't, until we get like late game, we're not going to have that much overload. So we're going to take it on somebody else. If we ever do get to the point to where this is better, then we can swap it over, right? We don't have to keep it on Leon forever. That's even more damage. Power is 50% increased damage. It's like the opposite of vulnerable, which makes enemies take 50% more damage. Having both of them is incredibly good. Looking at this and I'm like, Mozabus with a retainable 8 piercing damage is pretty good. Oh, I really shouldn't. This though. So. We're already gaining Fury on the lady here. 6 shield for 2 is still pretty good by itself, but we can use this on a turn where she's fully charged and gain 11 shield, which will help her survive the ults for like 20 damage. I don't grab this. I don't think I grab this. I should grab this. You know, we're grabbing this. It's also a red card, so it gives her damage when she uses it. And we have lots of multi-strike attacks. Now, who needs to use more cards? I think what we honestly do, make Milady draw more cards. Okay, now we can heal. Not a lot of health. Okay, so I don't see... Actually, this Oracle can make us stronger. Debating the 2 random cards, is there anything that I absolutely need to upgrade? Ice Barrier would be pretty good. So would that Cleave. Nothing we could do. Fine. Want all these artifacts. We're not going to upgrade them. We want all of our abilities, or the abilities that we don't want are starters, so we'll only get commons for them. Question of, is upgrading Cleave going to be high impact enough that we absolutely need it for this fight? I don't think so. That's pain. At least we got 1 lunge. Literally had to hit anything except Flash Strike. Now we gotta hit this. Well, hopefully we don't die. Lock an Oracle, but you gain Giganticism. Attack by a minion, destroy it and gain 5 power. Oh. We're doomed. 5 turns of 50% damage? Well, guys, nice knowing you. To be fair, it doesn't matter if we give him more health. But we're not going to get much out of an Oracle. We already like did the 2 random, which is probably the worst thing that you could possibly do out of an Oracle, in my opinion. So that's not even worth him dealing more to us. So we're just going to do a normal battle. Okay. Got the Burn Jaguar, and we got the Sand Elemental that's going to block for him. If only there was any way to kill this thing. Well, what I'm actually going to do is try and rush this guy down. Quick fashion, I forgot to vulnerable before I use a large attack on him. That is a lot of damage though. Burn in an area, not good. Much I can do about it though. Got a Dispel right now. Yeah, because now he's ulting. Because he ults every other turn. And this is where we would want that In fact, you know what? Still didn't get it. The weak would be very good right here. Thing is that it's AoE. Can I even save this man? I can. I can. You can just blind him. You can just blind him. Thank God for Leon. Am I blind? God. Blind. Huh. Pretty sure that first attack missed. Yeah, why did that miss? Oh, because he's weak. I am big dumb. Really janky that blind doesn't still shows up in your damage preview. I shouldn't use that shield. Check to see what was in my my deck. Now we're here. Thought that I could still use Flame God. Man, I am just screwing this up. That'll actually kill us. If I use his taunt, he dies. Okay. Good. Unfortunate as that is, because why aren't you guys dying? I actually think we're gonna make this though. Are you built? You still have another 2 turns. Jeez. Okay. This. This. Still gonna die. Yeah, because of you. How does reduce you down? 3 from him. None? That's not right. 6 here, 3 here. Oh, because of the shield. Gotcha. 3 just shields. So if I was to weaken him, still die. – If I was to weaken him, still die. Done. No, she's not. You've got 9 burn on you. Okay, well, she's alive. Well, you shouldn't be? Oh, because the minion's going to soak it all. Gotcha. I think I actually wanted him over here. Because every time you move into a lane with a downed hero, you lose 5 health, not blocked by shield. So we're going to do it like this. We're alive. Barely. That's big. In fact, I take this. This would be very good with cleave in our multi-strike setup. We just hope that we get this later. But this is going to give us a lot of energy. Ooh! Here's her was pretty big in our last run. But I think we honestly just go with the Hex. Buckshot is also very good, though. Gives her critical damage where she normally wouldn't. And it's one ranged. Which technically makes it better than Flechet Strike. I think we go with this, though. Blinded in an area sounds pretty good to me. Also, another keyword of his, bolster. So for every enemy targeting him, you will reduce the cost by 1 AP. So it looks like 5, and I shouldn't have put that in my deck. But in actuality, this is going to cost 4, so long as one person's targeting him. And he's got access to taunt. So you can taunt, theoretically, the whole team. And then he'd still be able to play this. We will want to give him a an action point on the next opportunity. Anyways, it's been an hour for us to get past what I would call Act 1. We are now in medium difficulty. We're going to go ahead and call it a night. Anyways, you guys have a good one. If you have any feedback, comments, questions, be sure to throw them in the comments down below. Otherwise, I will catch you guys around.